Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. Good to see some familiar faces. Some people I haven't met before as well. So, to preface, I know that this is a Webflow meetup and I'm not talking about Webflow, so shoot me. Okay, who am I? What is Lovable? 11 lessons on making a lovable app. Where is the web going? I've got a lot to cover, 15 minutes. Who am I? Who am I? I do a bit of Webflow, a bit of Spline, and I've recently been doing a bit of Lovable. So I started doing some agency work. That was terrible. Then I did some freelancing. Still doing it. That's me. And I did some podcasting, and that didn't go too well either. Then I tried a bit of content creation. That's kind of interesting. It's pretty inconsistent and a little bit squeaky bum time, but it's fun. So that's where I'm at. That's kind of like the timeline, right? Agency, freelancing, podcasting. But now, I'm building an app. So I basically want to do whatever I want to do. I just want to make whatever I want to make. And I know that's pretty much all of us. And I feel like the barrier to entry to do that is lower than it's ever been. Now this tiny bit here, I haven't done the whole way, as you can see. I was using Figma slides and I kind of didn't quite, whatever.
These graphics are so
I know, it's simple but powerful. Right? You need a little bit of knowledge, but that's where you guys come in. You guys are actually very well versed in the web, Webflow. You guys know a bit, and I think that's the little barrier to entry. But I think very soon that barrier, this is just going to go straight down to the bottom. By the way, if you didn't know what that was, barrier to entry and time. That's what the axes are meant to be. Didn't quite finish that. What is Lovable? This is Lovable. You can basically write a prompt, and you can get a prototype. So it's a prototyping tool, but you can actually build real things, which is kind of exciting. So what I'm going to do is show you a bit of Lovable.
As if you have 40,000 unread emails.
Dude, I've got, that's just one email. I got 5 emails. Okay, so let's say I want to build an app, and so I'm in a 5-a-side football team, and every week no one pays me. They're meant to pay me a $5 to play on the pitch, and I'm in so much debt, okay? So I want to say, make me an app to get everyone in my 5-a-side team to pay me. Okay, so I'm going to give it a super broad prompt. Now this is what I would not recommend. This is my first recommendation to not do, is to give it a super broad prompt unless you want something that looks terrible. But this is going to spin up something, and we're going to get something pretty bad because we've given a very bad prompt. Hello?
He's got questions.
What's that?
Jack's too busy to read.
What?
He wants his 5-a-side thing now.
Yeah, I want it already.
No, he's asking you some questions.
Oh, once I've made the details, I'll create a beautiful functional payment. Perfect. Go. Okay, so you've got to be polite. And you've got to spell correctly to get this to work. But basically, we're going to spin up something. Okay?
He's not sure.
Let's have the details, I can start building. I'm not sure what you meant perfect. Please build my app. Build my, please build my app. I'm doing a presentation and need something to show. Okay, so we're going to get a something. Okay, well, this is spinning up something, hopefully. I'm going to carry on. So this is Lovable, and so far I've built about 20 terrible things. Here are some of the things that I can show you. Not terrible in like a bad way, just to be clear, like just not very good apps. So this is one where you can basically, I'm sick and tired of hearing people say, I want my life to change, but they don't actually do anything to change their life. So me and Jimmy were talking before this, this whole thing, and I was basically like, why don't we create, well, I didn't actually say all of this to you, but I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So we basically made this like 12, and he told me about this 12-week plan thing where basically every single day you take action to actually change your life. So say I want to get a six-pack, every single day I'm going to do 100 sit-ups or whatever. And basically, let's actually do that. I want a six-pack, do 100 sit-ups, okay? So start my 12-week journey. And basically every single day it's going to send me an email and it's going to say, did you complete your daily action? Yes, no, progress calendar. When I click yes, I've got this little thing at the bottom. Great job, come back tomorrow, keep that streak alive. Now what's kind of fun is there's a bit of a social element, so you can invite your friends, you guys can do the same challenge, you can do different challenges. Basically this is a prototype. It looks horrible, and I get that. I'm not trying to focus on how it looks so far. I'm just trying to get something. That's what a prototype is. Like I'm trying to visualize what this looks like, okay? God, football thing is taking a while. It's probably because my prompt was so good. So, speaking of, let's actually talk about that. Some facts about Lovable. They're doing really well. Dream Tracker, I've showed you that. Here are the 11 lessons to use Lovable successfully if you're interested in making prototypes. If you want to do a design that is actually looking good, I would recommend not actually starting with prompting at all. What I would recommend you do is you go to Relume, you make sections, you change the copy, you use the design beta thing that Jimmy talked about earlier, which is actually quite good. And you can actually get a brand identity quite quickly. And then you can import that to Figma and use this free plugin called builder.io, which actually links to Lovable, and then you can make something that is responsive very, very quickly, which looks way better than what you're going to get if you just prompt straight out of the box. So then you can basically, once you've got a Figma design, you've got your Relume design, export to Figma, Figma into Lovable via this plugin called Builder. It sounds really complicated. It's not at all, and it's pretty much all free. You can get something into Lovable which looks half decent. If you do want to go straight to Lovable, don't do a terrible prompt. I recommend going to like ChatGPT or something like that and actually like get a better prompt. So you can ideate to get a really, really good prompt that is actually something that you'd want to see once you actually click go with Lovable. So I'd recommend thinking a little bit about component types. You can specify colors, aesthetics, fonts. You can actually just give it a lot more instruction, and the more instruction you give it, obviously the more the result is going to be what you see in your head. I've tried both methods of like giving a super broad prompt and getting a really, really broad prototype, which is fine because you can ideate from there. But I also think it's really frustrating if you've got a really clear idea in your head of what you want and then it just completely messes up. So to actually support this, you can definitely like go and have a look on, this one's called Godly. There's loads of different websites that show examples of what different UIs might look like, and you can just screenshot them, put them into Lovable and be like, can I have something more like this or change the colors like this? Again, I would recommend doing this process before going to Lovable and just being like more intentional with the design, because if you're actually trying to build something that's a relatively good prototype, it's better to have a clear idea. Here's some cool visual inspo sites. A lot of them you've probably heard of. Similarly, you can actually go to UI libraries and then copy and paste the code and just whack it straight in, which is insane how quick it is. Again, not always looking perfect, but you can ideate from there. So if you've already built a few pages of a front-end website, then you might have like a marketing site and then have a login to a web app. You might be like, okay, on this about page or the pricing page, I want a pricing component that's like 3 columns, like the cheap option, the one I actually want you to get, really expensive enterprise option, whatever. So there's a couple of libraries that I really recommend using. I can send you this after if you're at all interested. Something else that's actually really useful is you can chat to Lovable before making the changes. So you can kind of ideate with Lovable, which I think is really, really helpful. So if you're like, I'm not actually too sure how the best way of doing this is, like, let's say I want to link up a login, but it has Facebook and it has Google Auth and it has loads of different logins. What's the best way of like linking that up to Supabase, or is there another thing that I should be using, or whatever? You can do that in this chat functionality, which is so helpful. You don't have to just be like, change this, and then it will just change it and mess up your whole project. Speaking of, you can restart if the first output is bad. I'm not sure why that's capitalized, but if you want to just go back to the start, then do it. You know, if you start reading a book and you're just like, after the first chapter, you're like, what am I even doing with my life? Just get another book. Like, you don't need to read the whole book. Vice versa with this. You don't need to go through the pain of trying to iterate over and over, saying, like, this isn't right. And it's like, why don't you just start again? Similarly, you can actually, in Lovable, you can edit stuff on the page itself. So say you're like, I actually want to change a section, but instead of writing a prompt and being like, can you change the copy in the paragraph in the hero header to... Just change it using the edit functionality, which is in Lovable. It's a new feature, really, really handy to change stuff super fast. This is actually one that Jimmy also said before I did this presentation, because I was trying to do this I actually had this like mad thing with like, I can just show you. I tried to do this way more complicated app, which has like loads of functionality. And he was just like, I don't really get it. Which is a bummer to hear when you show someone something for the first time. But it was totally fair. Like, I needed to actually have a dashboard that was way more simple than the one I actually have. And so I think a really good bit of advice that I should have taken that I didn't take is making sure that one feature works really well and is really, really clear before adding any others. And even questioning whether you even need more features before adding any others, because potentially you've got a whole different business or idea that isn't relevant or shouldn't be added. Use the revert button often. You can actually click, so as you're going through and you've on the left, you've got the type functionality, and you can prompt it. You can actually click restore and go back to an earlier version, just like you can in Webflow with previous versions of your website. So I find I click revert way more often in Lovable than I do in Webflow, but it's really, really helpful to just be like, no, okay, we're just going to abort that mission. I'm just going to go back to a previous version of the site. You can actually, instead of asking for, hey, can you change the hero header section on the about page, whatever, you can actually just ask for the class names so that you understand kind of what's underneath the hood. You can see the code in Lovable if you're comfortable with that, but sometimes it's kind of helpful to just be like, what's the name of this? Cool, change it to be this, this, this. So you can kind of use it as an agent, I guess. And then obviously, if you're just uploading massive images from Unsplash or wherever, it's going to be the same performance issues that you're going to see on a Webflow website where you just upload huge images from Unsplash. Like, that's still going to affect your website performance. And you can actually just optimize your site by literally being like, why is my site performance 60 when I want it to be 90 plus? And you can do that like after iterations quite easily. It just diagnoses the performance and it's like, hey, you need to change this, this, and this. So why am I saying all this stuff? Because I kind of think, why am I even interested in Lovable in the first place? I kind of think we're all Webflow curious. We're all doing Webflow stuff, and I think Webflow is amazing. I'm the first to say that. I still use Webflow most days. I guess what I'm thinking, though, is that soon these tools, like we talked a little bit about in Cassie's talk there, is people are prompting and getting AI or development tools to actually just do the thing, and we're trying to direct the thing, but they're doing the thing. And right now we're doing the thing and directing the thing, but I'm saying I think that might be changing. And I also think it's interesting with clients. Clients, for me, are coming to me when they've messed up their website using AI tools. They're like, I tried to use Boll, I tried to use this, that, and the other, and it looks terrible, and I just want you to fix it. And that's kind of interesting, because that wasn't the case even a year ago for me. And so I just think now I feel like people that are more interested in the web and have a base understanding are going to be more like tastemakers or creative directors. They're going to know what is good versus what is bad, or know when to jump into AI and say, look, I don't think this is being done in the right way. Have we considered this option? And being kind of the steerer rather than the oarsman. Didn't know I was going to say that, but yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, off the back of that comment, maybe there's things that AI messes up or doesn't quite do in the way that we might imagine it, or maybe hasn't seen the broader picture of like, oh, the company have wanted like a marketing campaign and this, that, and the other, and there's all these different factors, and that is going to affect the decision making about how we do things. Well, that's where maybe the technical doers are also going to be needed. So I'm not saying, oh, if you do Webflow, you're fucked. Sorry, YouTube. Then, you know,
Beep.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think if you're in the bottom 50%, well, I think you might be in a bit of trouble. That's what I'm saying. I also think, though, in the context of all this AI, I don't know if you guys have gone on LinkedIn and seen these thought leaders that are churning out bollocks. These guys, I think, are screwed. I think authentic and critical opinions that are genuinely human from a place of, I've tried this, and here's my thoughts. Not, I've spoken to AI and churned out a load of stuff that it's dredged up. I think authentic and critical opinions really stand out. So I guess the summary of this whole thing is the barrier to entry to make stuff is lower than ever, as you saw from my terrible first slide. But I think the problems that we all have persist. You know, we can all walk outside and see a bazillion problems. But I think on the positive side, there's things that you can actually solve easier than ever. There's technical things that you can, or technical skills that you now have access to that mean that you can problem solve in a mad way. Like the potential is amazing to solve problems. And that's why I think it's really exciting rather than completely or maybe it's completely overwhelming and exciting at the same time. But what I'm saying is, I think it's an opportunity, and I think it's cool to go make stuff and try and solve problems. And that's my talk. And just before we end, I want to just see if my pitch, there it is, baby, came through at the end. Pitch thing. Rename. Oh my lord. And I need that to be lowercase.
Should be thing.
Pitch thang. Oh, please work. Okay, I've got a very basic prototype of an app for my football. See if it kind of works. Add player. Player management coming soon. That's not particularly helpful. I've exported all the team players.
Yeah.
It is. I guess, like, and that's the key thing that I wanted to kind of say as well, is that AI is not like, oh my God, you've now got a bajillion-dollar business idea. There's a lot of working out to do. And if you use it, in my opinion, if you use it thoughtfully, then it is a really powerful tool. If not, you're just going to be making more AI bollocks that we see on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.